It's live! Hooray! Tag team back again. I don't know any of the rest of that song.
What? What was
No
that?
other like tag team back again.
Tag team back again?
Yeah, it's the beginning of a song. Like, kind of like a R&B or hip-hop song from the 90s or something.
Back again.
Now I have to know what that is.
Guess who's back with a brand new rap, and I don't mean rappers, in a new case of child molestation accusation.
Is that...
That's Eminem. That's Eminem.
That's not the song I
No.
was thinking of. No.
That was a disastrous intro.
No, yeah. Yep, that was awful.
You ruined it. You ruined it.
No, you
Where the
ruined
fuck
it.
is the alt-right?
Do a good intro now. Now you have to make up for it.
Okay. Hi everybody, and welcome to the stream. We've got a wonderful selection of conversation topics, only the finest for you lovely subscribers. Now, we do have an alt-right sympathizer coming in. She'll be here in about 10 to 15 minutes, Ed. So, you know, you just hold your horses, mate. How are you doing this fine evening day?
Oh, fine. I figured out what song it was. It was Whoop, There It Is.
Whoop, there it is.
Whoop, there it is.
Whoop, there it is. Yeah.
Know that one.
I know it.
Shakalaka, shakalaka.
Yeah, I know it.
I'm so old. I'm so old that song is still in my consciousness.
I know it. I do know it. It wasn't a song I grew up with, though. Really.
Yeah.
Is that the one that's like whoa, 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 where you do the stupid dance?
No.
Oh, that's Hammer Time, isn't it?
That's Hammer Time. Hammer.
Yeah. Good luck with your
Let's
FNC.
stop talking about 90s hip hop songs.
Yeah. Day and Jason. That's weird. It's weird that you use my real name. Hell yeah, Day. Megadeth. They're liking the shirt.
Ah, thanks, guys. Jason. It's like Dyson, but our couple name.
I found out Jason is a Greek name originally, popularized in the USA.
Yeah.
That's good. Means healer. So, I was talking to Dominic, whom happens to be the troll. Yeah. You might know him as. He was talking to me about like going on porn, right? And it's funny. He's like, you ever like go on porn, and then you just like see some weird shit in the sidebar, and you just go down a rabbit hole. And I'm like, well, obviously I don't. But I'm like, I know what you mean, dude. I know what you mean. He's like, yeah. So he's got like he wears like, being kind of Irish descent, he wears like a cross necklace and stuff like that, which he hangs on his wall, right, when he's at home. So he's like, I got this sort of porn video of this like nun, right, this sexy slut nun. So he's like, I'm like jacking it, right. I'm kind of like a bit weird, but I'm just like, yeah, it's all right. I'll have a bit of that. So he's jerking his gherkin, and he look, but then he's like wanking off to the nun, and then he looks up and he sees like his cross on the wall at the same time, and he's just like, I just felt really weird, and then I just had to stop. Like, didn't even finish. It was like such a sort of anticlimax.
Yeah, you just felt the shame and guilt.
Yeah.
I had a nun costume once.
You had a nun costume?
Yeah, a nun costume.
Why'd you have a nun costume?
I was a nun for Halloween. I had upside down crosses and stuff.
Oh shit! Okay, that's edgy.
Oh, so Chris asked me something. I said, "Any ideas what you were going to start the conversation with?" The alt-right sympathizer.
Sympathizer. The alt-right sympathizer.
Sympathizer.
Well, first of all, we're just going to ask her a couple of questions and, learn a bit about what she's all about. Because she's not actually alt-right, as far as I gather. This all started...
I have no idea who it is.
Well, this all started because I made sort of anti-ethno-state tweets. And she was like, trying to counter what I was saying. So then she ended up DMing me. And then it got to a point where we're like, well, you could come on a stream and talk about this. But apparently she said she's more of a classical...
What happened? What happened to you? Where'd you go? Oh no. Roy froze. Is it just me or is it everybody? Oh no, now I have to sit here by myself and talk. What happened? Yeah, everybody give an F for Roy. Pay your respects. No, now I'm the only one here. What should I do, guys? Yeah, the alt-right killed his internet. Hi, Ryder. If he can hear me, I want him to get on his phone. I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call him, everybody. See if that works. Sorry about this, guys. Not doing a striptease. His phone's not even working. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Okay, left. Hopefully he's coming back soon. Yeah, so I guess I'll just talk about my day. I went to the doctor's today. I got blood work and they were a little stabby with the needle. And what else? Yesterday I've been playing The Witcher again. It's been nice. I'm playing the DLC, the Blood and Wine DLC finally, because I actually been putting off beating the game forever, and I've done pretty much every side quest in it, and now I've finally beaten the actual game, so I'm just playing the DLC, which is really, really fun. Yeah, Geralt's my dude too. Yeah, Witcher 3. Yeah, it's really, really good. I haven't played any of the other Witcher games, but I'm going to go back and play 2. I have 2 in 1 because I got like this package deal. Oh, sweet. McGuyman is playing Witcher as well. That's good. I wish I could be playing Witcher in the background, but it would crash my PC like Jason's did. By Jason, I mean Roy. Yeah, the Frenchie DLC one. I know! I love it too. It's so pretty, and it's just such a different environment from like all the mountainous and northern regions, just having it be like bright and colorful. And the French accent's kind of annoying. It's like listening to JF during the whole Witcher DLC, but the gameplay is really fun. I like how they added a bunch. Oh, I got e-liquid on my phone. A bunch of new stuff. And I got a house now. Got a little chateau in the countryside with the vineyards and shit. I wonder if Jason's ever coming back. I wonder if he'll even be able to let me know. That's sad. Yeah. Give me a DM and I'll let you jump in until Rory comes back, but then I'm going to kick you off once he gets back in there. Anybody who wants to be on until Rory comes back, send me a DM on Twitter. Day is dead. It's open. Oh, wait, he's back though.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what happened?
Okay, my laptop just crashed, so I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you're back though. I don't know what happened.
Well, it said you adjusted my volume, and then everything went wrong.
I don't think that's supposed to happen.
What did you do to me? You did that on purpose.
No, you were quiet, so I turned you up. And then all of a sudden you were gone. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, well, I'm on the laptop now, so the phone, so I can't see the chat at the moment. I'll work on my laptop.
I'll relay any messages.
Yeah, do. So what was I saying before I got kicked?
I don't know.
Oh, I was talking. Oh, someone said what you're going to start off with talking about.
Yeah.
I was just saying. Well, we're just going to ask her questions and get her stance and what she, I guess, identifies as herself, because I think she said she might be a classical conservative, but she's like somewhat sympathetic to the alt-right. and she understands like a lot of the talking points, and she agrees with them. So
probably classical liberal, because that's the big thing these days.
Yeah, so we'll see. Well, it's not going to be like a heated debate or anything. I'm too tired. I can't quite be asked. Oh, now, fucking Control Alt Delete works. Yeah, fuck you, Task Manager. That's what. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Well, I was left alone. All I did was talk about The Witcher.
You talked about The Witcher.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm playing The Witcher. I'm playing the DLC, and everybody likes it.
Yeah, she was playing The Witcher before we started the stream, and she left it till the last minutes to go McDonald's and get food because she was playing Gwent.
Yeah.
Gwent?
Yeah, Gwent.
And then you were all stressed out because you didn't have long to get everything set up. It's like, did you really need to play Gwent for so long before you started the stream?
I didn't, but I was like, oh, I have a little time left to play a couple more games of Gwent to get my skeleton deck all maxed out, and I was so happy and having such a great time. And then I looked at the time and I was like, shit, now I gotta go eat. Gotta go McDonald's, drive there, get back, shove food in my face. Yeah.
One thing I used to do that I guess was similar to that was I used to play a lot of poker on Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, yeah.
That was good. I always felt, but I felt somehow that it was even more sad to play a game within a game for so long.
It so is.
Yeah, it's so meta and stupid, and I'm just like, why don't I just play fucking poker? I'm playing Red Dead Redemption, but I'm playing poker for hours on it. It's like, it's such a weird thing to do. Okay.
Somebody says the Northern Realms faction is the best. No, my monsters deck is beast. I love monsters deck, but I gotta go for the skeleton deck. Skeleton deck now because of the DLC.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like I might be able to join back off of my laptop soon, which will be good.
Okay, good.
I'm having to hold my phone up. It's rather uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's not nice to stream like this. Low.
No. I've got got a low angle on me. It looks weird. My face is all elongated.
Yeah. You gotta do the MySpace angles. Get those going.
Is there any difference in quality?
Actually, not much.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Got a great laptop. So.
Maybe just with the voice.
Okay. But yeah. I was speaking to Lacey last night.
Yeah.
Planning a new video. Gonna do a bit of well, I don't want to ruin it actually, but it's gonna be a special video, and you're gonna be somewhat involved in it as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot.
Yeah. Cheers. Get working on that at some point.
Mhm.
Quite easy though. Okay. Just let me join. Don't fuck around with me. I'm sick of it. I know I'm sick of it. Everything's going wrong.
I don't know what the triple triad is. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Somebody said, who remembers triple triad? I don't.
So, is that a video game?
I don't know.
It sounds like...
You should ask the chat if anybody else knows about worms.
Oh, God. Okay, so, yeah. I went round Lacey's house, and I'm playing a game called Worms. So I tell Day when she calls, or I called you, I think. I'm like, oh, we're just playing Worms. It's fun. And you're like, what's Worms? And I can't believe you'd never heard of Worms before. Do you all know the game Worms? In the chat, let me know what they say.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was a worldwide thing. It might just be a British game.
Press 1 for you know the game Worms. Press 2 for you don't know it.
Let me know what they say.
People are saying yes. They know it. Everybody knows it. How come I don't know Worms?
I told you.
Everybody knows it.
Everybody knows Worms.
And me.
That's hurt your gamer cred.
No. Even little Miss knows it. She's from Canada.
Exactly. See, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
No excuse whatsoever.
Oh,
I'm in the phone.
Oh my God, Roy stepped in.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Hi, everybody.
It's a boy. Oh my God, this is so weird. Oh. Okay. Oh, now you're roboting though.
Hello. Can you hear me?
You're all fucked up sounding.
Hello.
Hit F5. F5 yourself. I can hear you, but you're all fucked up. Roy's gonna have an aneurysm before we ever get this lady on. Oh. Yeah, Roy bot. That's right. Wow. Hello, Miss Anonymous. You are from a fake place. Candadia. Alright.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're fine.
Well, I'm on my phone again.
Oh.
I'm on my fucking phone again. I went, like, so I don't know what happened. It was working. It was coming through the laptop fine. And then as soon as I hang up on my phone, it stops working on the laptop instantly.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. They're giving you respects in the chat again. Pay respects for Roy.
Yeah. Oh my God. What is life? Hate it. But Worms is a good game.
Bitching about things.
Yeah. Yeah. Worms is a good game, Dave. You need to play
it. Oh well.
It's good. It's better if you've got people round though. Like it's more of a takey turn. You do take turns.
Yeah.
Play it. It's a multiplayer game. You can't play it on your own.
No.
Don't get it. Don't get it. You can't play it.
Somebody said, been watching, Blacklock said, been watching day streams on loop for a couple days now. How close are you to the mark? It's a good question. I'm not over 3,000. I probably am, but it hasn't updated since yesterday. And I know a lot of people have been watching this week. But last time I checked, it was at 2,876. And so I'm almost there. I bet after it resets, and I get yesterday's numbers, and I'll be over 3,000. So might be able to make it. Oh, the lady's here. Hello. Is it anybody else talking?
Hello. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. I am so sorry. I just realized I accidentally muted Google Hangouts because I'm a genius like that. So you know.
That's okay.
Hi there.
Hi. Well, nice to meet you. Maybe Roy, give your introduction about how this all came to be. Yeah,
I think I did a mocking.
You did a little bit. That's what you were in the middle of saying when you died.
Oh, sorry.
No, not because of you. When his computer's been dying all the time. He's on his phone right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think I put out a tweet maybe, and it was sort of it was critical of the ethno state idea, I believe, and I think you responded to it. I can't quite remember what you said, but then you did DM me afterwards, and you kind of I guess a good starting point would be for you to introduce sort of who you are, your Twitter handle, and all that, and kind of what you consider yourself as politically.
Okay, perfect. Hi there. On Twitter, I'm Carpe Conundrum. How this all came about was, yes, you had mentioned on Twitter something about basically, I mean, to put it, so politically correct, killing all the darkies. And yes, there is quite a lot of, there's an awful lot of LARPers when it comes to the alt-right. And as I consider myself a classical conservative. So there are an awful lot of ideas as far as, a theology and things like that goes that I do agree with when it comes to the alt-right. Would I consider myself a full-on, ethno-status, LARPing online, all that stuff? Probably not. I'm still kind of on the fence because I'm still researching and, interacting with people. when it comes to the alt-right. So my mind's still open. But I will say this, what really got me interested in the alt-right to begin with was the whole Thoughtgate thing. And obviously I'm a female, like, at least I hope I sound like one. But yeah, that's what's kind of got me into it. And there was an awful lot of those, you know, oh, begone thoughts, you know, gas all the sluts and all that jazz. So, but once I kind of, you know, weeded that out and actually talked to people who genuinely believe in the, you know, principles that the alt-right stands for, it became a lot more, I don't want to say enlightening because that kind of sounds pretentious, so to speak, but it became a lot more interesting, at least. Like there was actual discussions going on rather than gaslit Jews and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So you wouldn't consider yourself to be alt-right, but like alt-right sympathizer, would that be okay to say?
Yes, I suppose so. In my opinion, the alt-right would not exist at all if in the United States we didn't have a huge problem with immigration, especially illegal immigration. I'm sorry, I do ramble a lot, but keep in mind I am from California and we have a very serious illegal immigration problem here. And in my opinion, we would not have the alt-right in the EU if it wasn't for the migrant crisis there. So I do very much sympathize with where the alt-right is coming from.
Yeah. So I mean, so immigration, right, is pretty hot issue in a lot of places. So, but like it goes a little further than just like illegal immigrants and things like that, though, doesn't it? It's
yes, and that's kind of the part that I'm stuck at, to be honest. Because it's interesting for me here in the United States because, for example, like I said, I'm from California, and by 2020, I'm hoping to have moved from here, probably to Montana. That's what I'm looking at. And the funny thing is that as I was going through, you know, states and communities to go into, like that I would like to move to, ones that had policies that I liked, that I would like to open up my own restaurant and all that jazz. So obviously, I was looking for states that have you know, regulations that are, you know, that cater to business as opposed to kill them like they do here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, good luck starting a restaurant. It's
oh, I know,
yeah.
Right? Well, you know, pipe dreams and all that jazz. But you know, I was trying to, you know, find states that were compatible with this, and as it so happens to be, you know, it's places like Idaho and Montana and Wyoming, of all places. No one lives there, but
yeah.
but what was interesting for me is that, you know, I was weeding out communities as far as all this stuff went, and then I being curious, decided, oh, okay, I'm just going to look up the demographics. I'm really curious, you know, how it is, and they happen to be majority white. I did not go into this looking for majority white places. It just so happened that what I wanted ended up through policies and all that stuff being majority white places. And I find that interesting.
Well, America's majority white. They don't really have a sway over the policies held in the particular states.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, no, that's valid. But to me, it was interesting because, for example, I am leaving a majority Hispanic community. I wasn't actually, this place used to be heavily Mormon. I have no idea how that happened, to be honest. But over time, with where I am in Southern California, it ended up becoming a lot more majority Hispanic. And am I saying that people vote on racial lines? I don't know if I'd put it that way. It does look like the data supports that, but I don't know if it's a racial thing, so to speak. I'm still kind of on the fence as far as, you know, digging up information and all that stuff goes. But we have become a much more liberal community, and I am a conservative. You know, I'm very much a traditionalist and all of that stuff. So I would, you know, obviously like to go to a place more traditionally conservative, and those just so happen to be majority white areas. I don't know why. I don't have a specific answer for it, but I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I tend to do that a lot.
No, that's okay.
Oh, thank God.
Give me a well, I think, well, the U.S. is majority white anyway, and obviously southern states closer to the border are going to have more immigrants from south of the border. So I think with a lot of the states you're talking about, they're sort of like more Midwest and northern communities, which don't naturally wouldn't have as many white people. I mean, as many immigrants in them. And I don't think it's really like the policies put in place. Yeah, it's white people voting on them, but I don't think that the immigrants really play much of an effect on policy, because a lot of them don't even vote, because like with immigration, it's kind of testy, and they don't even vote anyway. And I think California always has been a pretty liberal place, and it's just gotten more liberal as time's gone on, especially the southern parts.
Oh yeah, no, that's valid. But see, that's what I'm talking about. It's interesting to me, you know, like is this a racial thing or is it not? At this point, I'm just kind of curious, and that's kind of why, you know, I've been doing a deep dive as far as the alt-right goes. God, that sounds so pretentious. Sorry.
That's a pretty big leap, though, from saying like, you're just a regular American trying to get a fair shake, a stake at like doing the capitalistic thing without like a corporatist thing getting in the way, where like there's a lot of government intervention as far as like regulations, how you pay employees, health insurance for employees, certain standards you have to meet, where that are across the board, not tailored to certain small businesses and what they can afford. And that's why corporations become the majority, because they can afford to do all these loopholes and stuff. And then they also have ways to get out of them that small business owners just don't get. And I know you just want to like get sort of the American dream going. Yeah, maybe it's in more white majority places, but that's a big leap from like wanting that to like, oh, well, maybe the alt-right's for me, you know?
No, I understand. I mean, that's why I say I'm still kind of on the fence, because as, you know, as I'm looking into this, and I'm trying to think of like the best way to put this without me sounding absolutely crazy, even though that's an inevitability at this point.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's I'm sorry, give me a second.
Yeah, collect yourself.
Oh no, I just here I might be mildly autistic, so this is kind of where it's going to come out, huh? I would like to say this about the alt-right. Like I was saying earlier, we do have a very serious problem when it comes to LARPers. Very serious. I understand that it's really hard not to take the chat seriously when it's, you know, spamming, kill all the darkies and everything like that. And while that, yes, there is an aspect of it, it is a minority. A lot of it is just, you know, kids online having fun. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of it, because I mean, you know, it's shit posting in chats. I'm only human. I find it funny. But what I'm saying is that originally, so when I was going into researching this with the whole thought gate, with the whole, oh, I want to move to an area that just happens to be majority white, I kind of started wondering, well, why is that though? Because here in California, white flight is an actual thing that is happening in California. A majority of, well, I don't want to say a majority because that's not really the right word to put it, but no, actually it is. Okay, so a majority of the people moving from California happen to be white. I don't know why. That's why I'm saying I'm kind of sympathetic. I don't know exactly where we're like why this is. I don't know if it's racial. I don't know if it's political. I don't know if it's, you know, policies. I know what it is for me. I don't know what it is for everyone else that is also leaving, who just so happens to be the same race as I am and just so happens to be going to the same areas. I believe that humans are tribalistic. We just are. I don't know. I honestly do not think that we're doing this consciously. I don't think, you know, everyone leaving California is a racist that, you know, wants to be with their own people. It's just we're naturally doing that though. And that to me is interesting. I'm honestly not an expert. I'm still kind of figuring this stuff out. But
I think
yeah. Sorry.
It tends to be more of a, you know, it's just a sort of cultural thing sometimes. Obviously, you have areas that are sort of, so in Manchester, there's a lot of Muslims, and there's a lot of Muslim sort of focused areas where they'll all move into and stuff like that. But I think it's just easier for them when they immigrate over to sort of, you know, live amongst people that have already made sort of the leap and stuff like that. So, but I mean, but people like, for example, the sort of Asians, when I say Asian, I mean Middle Easterns that are born in Manchester, tend to be to my mind, like entirely British. I wouldn't sort of. I don't think. I know people say historically Britain is a white country, and historically, kind of with America, it's been a white country. But I don't really think that. To me, that really doesn't have much of a bearing on things. But I mean, what do you think about the race realism stuff then? Do you I take it you are for and you believe in like race realism, right?
Oh God, I hate to be that semantic person, but by race realism, do I believe that IQs do vary between races? Yes.
Yeah.
The data we currently have does support that. And the problem is that it would be interesting to delve deeper into that, but that's not going to happen. I mean, it's it's one of those can of worm things. But I do believe that. I don't know if a culture has something to do with it, because it might. I'm not saying it is 100% race. Obviously, it's not.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing. I feel like it's not. The environment is not very controlled enough to say it's genetics that have that effect on IQ between races.
Well,
yeah, that's fair.
It's hard to get a fair picture because I mean, like a lot of black areas, right? There's more poverty, so obviously that's going to affect sort of education and intelligence. So I'm not too sure. Yeah, like they were saying, if it is genetic, and even if you have statistics that say on average black people are less intelligent, I think it's a massive leap to say that's because they're black and it's a genetic thing. I think it's probably a circumstantial thing, more than likely. Because you have to imagine, to my mind, like all the white Europeans went over. They were smart. They were generally educated for the time, at least. I mean, they sailed across the other side of the world. And established a new home. So a lot of the white families initially in America were doing well by the time sort of immigrants started coming over, and especially stuff, like the slave trade and stuff, they weren't sending over the best and brightest. So, so I think
sound so like Trump sending over people to the shithole country.
Well, have you seen it lately? I'm just saying.
But yeah, I don't think. I think it's a massive sort of assumption to say that sort of races, there's any significant difference in IQ, because I don't think we have that kind of data, and I don't think it's scientific to jump to that conclusion, based off of IQ. There's too many mitigating circumstances for me.
I don't know.
Not fair enough.
Are you getting my DMs on Twitter? I'm not checking my DMs right now. I'll check them right now. But I wanted to say, as far as I want to say, as far as like the LARPing goes, that's not really what I'm concerned with the alt-right. I think they, if anything, knocked down its credibility. I'm more worried about the people who kind of ease people into it, like Richard Spencer. He puts very much a lot of thought into the way he appears. He tries to disassociate from neo-Nazism, even though a lot of his code is based on that, but he wants to disassociate almost like a PR move. I'm more concerned about the people who get the normies involved by, being like, well, wouldn't it be great because white people do all this, and if we didn't have the damn immigrants or the damn black people fucking it up, everything would be a white utopia, and the future would be so grand. And I think it's that's more dangerous than the LARPers, because they're going to alienate people. But they're trying to do some propaganda shit where like they entice people, being like, no, we're not racist, absolutely not. We just want an ethno state. And because of these reasons, which sound good in theory, but in actuality and in practice, I think it's going to be really hard to, I think their ultimate goal is not written on their sleeve. It's like Scientology, where there's tiers, and then you get like, this is what we really want to do, and this is what we're really about.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fair. See, I'm one of those people how I don't really know how I feel about Richard Spencer and Tara McCarthy and more of the big figures. I I see where they're coming from a sympathetic standpoint. I understand kind of where I'm sorry, I really shouldn't put it that way. I understand what probably led them to, have thoughts they do. The truth of the matter is, in the United States, even though Black people are only 13% of the population, give or take, they do commit 53% of the crime. Now, in my opinion, it's not race. It's, as far as this goes, while yes, I would say that probably to a certain extent they would be more prone to violence, but I'm talking like very minuscule to the point where it's not even really worth bringing up. I believe honestly single mothers are the huge problem.
It's a big problem with the demographics in that little group, like the area they're born into, the kind of crisis that the Black community is having as far as like fathers either ditching the family or being in jail because they started out, in a life of crime and perpetuated it, and it's just like a cycle that they're kind of stuck in.
No, and that's my point, is that it is, I mean, whether, do I think it has, or it's necessarily based on race? No. However, there does, I'm sorry, putting on an aggregate, there is more crime in the Black community. I believe that Western values in general can be taught to anyone who, obviously, has grown up in our society and all that stuff. I'm not saying, that all Black people just don't know Western values or can't, be acclimatized to it. I just butchered the pronunciation out of that. But it's, I just believe here in the United States especially, our issue is we kind of, race relations here are at an all-time low where we are pitting each other against each other. I don't know why this is, but we are. I mean, come on, we've all seen the videos of, or the tweets from YouTube telling us to subscribe to Black creators, and we all know what would it do if we said white creators, right? Yeah. That's not helping at all. We're just, my issue is where we are promoting aggression between the races, when in my opinion we should come together, in all honesty. And if we want to do that in separate communities, because that's just kind of what we do naturally. I mean, we tend to seek out people who are like us. I'm not saying it would be better. I'm not saying it would be worse, but I'm saying it might help, if that makes any sense.
But it's like, if they choose to sort of form separate communities, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But like, do you think it would be, productive to force Black people into certain areas?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. What I'm saying is that without force, we do this anyway. I mean, just natural. I do not condone forcing people out, or I don't agree with forcing people out. I'm saying that we naturally do it anyway. I guess is my point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure. I guess certain people are drawn to people that are similar to them, generally. But because I mean, I was talking about the ethno-state and stuff in that tweet. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what do you think about a white ethno-state? Or what would be your opinion on that? Do you think it would be a good thing? Do you think it'd be beneficial? Are you for it, or are you against it?
As far as the ethno-state goes, am I for it? Yes, I am for it in the sense that I believe Poland should remain Polish. I believe Haiti should remain Haitian. I believe that, because keep in mind, ethnicity isn't just white or Black. In my, well, at least, depending on how you define ethnicity, I mean, I kind of push it towards nationality as well. Because, we do have genetic differences. You can tell a Pole from a German just based on genetics and DNA and such. So I do kind of think that ethnicities. So, I'm sorry. I don't want to sit on people.
Okay, so you're saying like Poland for the Polish, right?
Oh yeah.
And, so what would the American ethno-state look like? Why would it be white only?
Oh, it depends on how far back we're going as far as immigration policies go. In my opinion, what I would like to see for the United States is kicking out the illegal immigrants and the refugees, because we do, I mean, if you look at our economic bubble, I'm not going to say it's going to crash tomorrow, but we do have a very high debt. Unemployment is quite low, but I'm very much an isolationist, so I would kind of like us to kicking everyone out who's not, a citizen, and really restricting immigration back to 1952, I want to say, statuses. That doesn't mean I hate everyone. It's just I am American. Naturally, I'm going to care about Americans first.
Sure. Okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense. A lot of people want sort of tighter immigration, and that makes sense. So, but when you say you're for the ethno state, though, I mean, like, what about American-born Black people? What about American-born Asians?
Oh, as far as that goes, as far as the United States goes, in all honesty, we are kind of at a point where, to be honest, this country was founded on very much white nationalist policies. I mean, am I saying I'm for it or against it? No, I am saying that is what we were founded on. Are you going to find in the Constitution? No, but the truth is you got a whole bunch of white guys over here that, had Black people as slaves, and that's kind of what this place was. In my opinion, the Founding Fathers saw the United States to be more of an asylum for white Europeans. Now, keep in mind, this is just conjecture. This is something that, just looking back at history and putting motivations on people who I can't ask what their motivation was.
Yeah, well, it's also religious persecution back then.
Right, well, and that's what I mean as well. Now,
so they kind of fled, took over. It's almost like the white people fled and took over some other people.
Oh, no, we totally did. I'm not arguing that we didn't, and I'm not saying it was a great thing or not, but that's what happened, and that was, 300 plus years ago, and I can't really change it now.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I guess where my problem is that, like, American-born people, no matter what their race, no matter, like, say their parents were illegal immigrants and they were born here, those people have no stake in that. There's nothing they can do to change that, just like you can't change American history. And, sorry, the dogs.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to shut them up.
That's all right. I'll mute you for a second while I talk.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. Okay, I think it worked. Okay. No, I didn't. Mute it. Okay, cool. What was I saying? It's like Asa at my mom's house. Freaking out. Like, I got train of thought going on. I'm like, oh my god, dog, shut up. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think somebody born in the United States, no matter what their ethnicity is, should be kicked out. And I got a bunch of questions from Daychris on the side that we'll get to. And what else was I gonna say? And a whole bunch of stuff. I forget it all.
I mean, so, I would say that, like, they have as much right to the country as anybody else.
Yeah.
They were born there. They have as much right to that land as any white person. Also, when you're talking about kicking these people out, it's like, well, let's send them back to where they came from. Presumably, that means Africa. But
yeah, but they never knew Africa.
Why? Yeah, exactly. Why would Africa
taking me out to Italy? It's like, I don't know Italy. I was born here.
They're not African citizens. Where are they supposed to go? You can't do that. I don't think it's ethically sort of correct. I don't think it's logistically possible.
Yeah.
I think it's an absolute sort of pipe dream.
Well, it is a pipe dream, and I was also thinking that I think it's more with the illegal immigrants and the refugees and stuff. It's more of like a cultural thing rather than a background thing. Like if somebody were to like assimilate, like say a refugee came over to Montana or whatever, and like completely became Montanian or whatever, it just fit in with the culture and like was just like regular guy, not, adapted and assimilated. I think that's perfectly fine, and they should be welcome. They'll be paying taxes and shit and all that stuff. And I'm gonna, I can't unmute you, Carpet, just so you know. Just click the little microphone button. You'll be unmuted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, clearly I've only done this once, so I'm really new to this.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not saying that you guys are right as far as assimilation goes. Like I said, I believe the Western values are something that can be taught. The problem we're having... Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, he's been having all sorts of problems. I think he finally got his laptop up, and then it might have crashed again.
Oh, so yeah, I'm sorry. No, I've
totally nothing
been there.
Yeah, his computer's, I think, kicking the bucket over there.
Yeah, join the club. No, I do believe that Western values can be, can be something that in which you can assimilate to.
Yeah.
However, as we've seen, when it comes to mass waves of migration, rather than basically being forced to assimilate with other people, the host nation, so to speak, as far as this one goes, people group up together, and therefore, rather than joining. I'm sorry, my dog.
That's okay.
She's a literal bitch. So. Anyway,
Literally.
I'm sorry. So when it comes to, like the people who are already here, who are already citizens, oh no, like they're citizens. I do not believe in revoking anyone's right. When it comes to asylum seekers, when it comes to refugees, especially coming over in mass waves, my issue with America is that we have this nasty tendency of being the world police and thinking that we can save everyone, and I don't think that's true.
Yeah,
this is also
world policing.
Yeah, that's what even though I love the movie,
yeah,
not a huge fan of the policy, and I kind of think that's we're kind of stuck in this trap now where we are allowing a lot of people over here from, for example, Mexico, from I believe. I want to say Somali is the other place we're taking a lot of refugees from. It's just in smaller amounts and kind of dumped off in government housing in random states no one really cares about. Sorry. I mean, like as far as a national level, like I'm not going to hear about it here in California. Because when we do this in waves, there's no reason to join the host nation or to assimilate to those values, because your backyards, it came with you. All your buddies are here too. So
yeah,
why?
I understand that. I think mass immigration should be regulated, and like she could set people up in different areas where it's not just like where they can. Because I feel like if you move a bunch of people from one place to another, it just becomes like a little version of their country, which is fine.
Right.
As long as they work within the confines of the greater United States Western value establishment. But I think that it can be a tricky situation with that. I'm going to give you that. It can be very, very tricky to work that out, because mass migration is a nice idea as well, but not always feasible and doesn't always work out. It's a very altruistic goal, but it isn't, kind of at the expense of the people already established there sometimes. It's not always the case.
I guess so. In a way, then you're not really for the ethno state then.
Well, it's I recognize we're already kind of making them here in the United States. The Southeast is primarily Black, in the Southwest it is primarily Hispanic, and the Midwest is becoming a hell of a lot more white than it was before. I'm saying that I believe ethno-states are kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Inevitability. It's because we're a tribalistic people. This is just what we do. Am I saying we do it because of race? I honestly think that does play a part in it. I just think it's more subconscious. As far as the ethno-state goes, I am for it in other nations. Here in the United States, I believe that we just naturally make them. So it's, for me, it's not a matter of being for or against them. At least here, it's an inevitability. This is just what we do. Am I saying that's right or wrong? No, I'm just saying it's what we do.
Are you worried about the white race ceasing to exist?
I'm worried not exactly about extinction for the white race. I'm worried about what this very clearly pushed anti-white narrative is going to end up doing. I believe it's going to radicalize a lot of young people. It already has, from my experience, from what I've been looking at, and I don't blame them. I mean, like, the truth of the matter is, I'm a white chick. I'm going to have white kids, hopefully white sons and daughters, and I would hate for them to grow up, in a place where it's totally okay to say, all I want for Christmas is a white genocide, but you're racist if you say that's racist.
I'll be right back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I think I think it is ostracizing, especially young white men and white women. I mean, I had a lot of Black friends, and now all of a sudden I see them like spouting racist stuff against white people. I'm like, are we cool, bro? Like, what's going on? Like, it's very weird. So I think a lot of people, especially the younger generations, are going to be confused. And I think you're right. It can lead to radicalization of the white youth. And I think actually the alt-right is gaining power because of that. I mean, it's the same thing that like radicalizes any group. It's either by religion or fear, and like a sense of values that are, you know, each extremist sort of group has. They're different, but they're always a set of values. And that's where the extremism comes in. And I think the alt-right is actually pretty extreme if you get down to what they are really pushing for. They put in a nice coat of paint on it, but I think it's actually a lot more sinister than they're letting on.
No, that's a fair concern. I will say this, like for me, what's interesting within the alt-right, or at least the debate going on now, is are white are people in the United States that are white, are they, you know, a part of the white? I mean, like it gets coming from someone who was autistic, it does get to levels of autism that I have yet to imagine. As far as what I can tell, though, that we do talk an awful lot about, you know, the extinction of the white race, and it seems extremely sinister. And I'm not saying that that underlying message doesn't exist. I am saying, though, that it comes out of a place of fear as far as the narrative which is being pushed. It's hard to look at our current social situation and not think, oh my Lord, we are going towards a war. It's, you know, we do have racial violence that is literally strictly because of race. We have fake hate crimes, for Christ's sake, that just seem to be baiting. And I'm saying that however illogical, it is understandable, though, that this is now an issue, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it is becoming an issue. It's quite apparent. And well, like the alt-right, like we're talking about it like it's this big political movement. It's still small. It's still very small and kind of underground. It's not in the mainstream. It's not in politics really yet. But like I think all sort of extremist groups come from, you know, sort of self-segregating to protect whatever values you feel are important. And a lot of white people are being pushed by Black Lives Matter groups, like sort of racial tensions. I see a lot with younger people, like in schools and stuff. White people kind of feel confused, like, especially like I'm 34. I grew up in the 90s. I know there were a lot of racial tensions in like the 70s and early 80s, but like when I was like prime growing up time, like I hate to say like I didn't see color because obviously I knew there were Black people, white people, but I didn't give a shit. And I feel like that's the way the trajectory was going, where everybody was like cool with each other and all the races kind of like got along, and we knew each other were different races, but we respected each other and we didn't care. It wasn't really a thing because we're all people. Now I feel like there's a lot more tension put on the everyday average person to recognize race and like talk about it constantly. And a lot of it is the Black people feel disenfranchised and discriminated against through macro or micro ways, and are therefore attacking white people now. And white people are like, hey, I thought we were cool, yo, because the majority of white people aren't racist and never were and aren't like in the social structure or the political structure, like putting these laws into effect or having anything to do with it. And most people think it's more of an economic problem than a racial one or a social one. I don't know. I'm rambling now.
Oh, okay. Now I don't feel bad. No,
yeah.
No, it's totally understandable. See, what I'm curious about is what on earth happened between the 1990s and now that led us to a place where we were pretty cool with each other, that all of a sudden it's kind of like overnight, you know, call it the universities or whatever, whoever you decide to blame on the problem, or if maybe we're all just to blame, this is just kind of how people are. But what the hell happened? Why? It seemed like overnight, suddenly, you know, Black Lives Matter was a thing, even though that was, you know, built off of a, you know, false narrative that we can all talk about now, you know, hands up, don't shoot Michael Brown. But, sorry. It's I'm sorry. I guess what I'm trying to say is that radicalization in the current form is an inevitability. Am I saying I'm for that? Clearly not. Obviously, I do believe that we should go back into, all being cool with each other. But the truth of the matter is right now we are being pushed in, well, not that way. Do I know why our media is pushing this? No, I don't. But the truth is they are. They're the ones feeding the alt-right, and it is becoming a much larger movement. I mean, hell, I'm sympathetic to them. I totally see where they're coming from. I can only imagine what it's like, being a 22-year-old guy in college and, going to a Marxist professor talking about how you're the, the person of privilege, even though you just got out of the trailer park this morning. So I totally get where they're coming from as far as that goes. Do I agree with their message 100%? Of course not. I think it's an inevitability at this point that they were heading this way. And for me, it's saddening because I don't want another Hitler. Don't judge my shit posting clearly on 4chan, but I don't want another Hitler. But we're kind of leading. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Are you back, Roy?
Is it working? Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's been going on with you? You just been over there popping in and out.
I'm on my laptop now. All right, my phone died.
Okay.
And I was just praying my laptop worked. Otherwise, I was fucked. How are you supposed to fight the alt-right with such a bad laptop? Fuck.
Shut us down.
Sorry. So, I don't know what the hell you were in the middle of right there.
Oh, sorry. I know either. No.
Maybe we could address some of the questions that they.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I don't have any. I don't really know how to work chats and all that jazz, so I'm blind here.
With the things like, wait, he can go and fuck himself for a second, right?
Right,
nice chat.
Yeah, nice you chat. Haven't talked.
I don't mean that, actually. I don't mean that. Hey, Christ. But, so with a movement like the alt-right, I mean, there's inevitably going to be like a lot of racists within it, right? There's a lot of racists purely because they're just racist. And it's a bit of a haven for these people, which I always think is a bit of a problem. Because the alt-right is fairly extreme in itself, right? And you can say, like, well, we want these for, like, actual reasons. We don't just hate black people for no reason. We have reasons. This is why. It's a political movement. But you are going to attract a lot of sort of moron kind of racial hillbilly types as well.
Well, the same way that Black Lives Matter attracts extremists as well. Every movement everywhere will always attract extremists.
I feel they're quite extreme sort of movements in general, right? It's like the horseshoe thing. You on one side you have like Black Lives Matter, and on one side you have like the alt-right. I think the best way is to be sort of a balanced kind of moderate that is able to sort of look at both sides and realize that both sides are somewhat retarded.
But I feel like us moderates or centrists have a problem, whereas like we're either too nihilistic to get anything done. It's just like the whole world's shit. So fucked. Everybody over there is fucked. Everybody over there is fucked. Fuck them. So that doesn't change anything. It just kind of like everybody, all the rabble rousers on each side are getting their say, and we're just like, that's where I stand usually. But I'm not the one that's going to get any sort of change done, and that's why I feel is a problem with us centrists. I feel like there's got to be some sort of way that doesn't just being apathetic or seeing or empathetic to both sides and understanding the situation. I feel like if there's the extremist movements, one of them's there's going to be a standoff, and one of them's going to win possibly, or there's going to be some sort of concessions, but nothing really is going to change for the better. So being a centrist is all cool, but I think it's just almost ignoring the problem, even though I am one.
I mean, that's not necessarily true, though. I mean, you can't force yourself to be on one side if you genuinely don't feel that way.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it doesn't elicit change. Meanwhile, we have the two big extremist groups fighting actively for change. It's almost like a war going on. And like the women and children at home don't really have any say of how the war pans out. It's the people fighting it who do.
I mean, presumably, if you're a centrist, you have less of a gripe with society, though, which is why you're kind of in the middle. You don't feel that passionately enough to be like, well, this is terrible. I need to change it. So presumably, you'd be a little more satisfied in general with the way things are than people who are, you know, on the alt-right or Black Lives Matter or whatever. So I think that probably plays into it. Personally, though, I've just given up on humanity a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
I think I did a while ago.
You know what? I really hate to be that person, but would you guys mind if I grabbed a beer real quick?
Oh,
no.
But by all means.
God bless you. Thank you.
I mean, no, you don't have drinking on these streams. It's not allowed.
No.
Okay, just I'll be back in a second, I swear.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Glass of water. Go on. Yeah. Yeah, my fucking laptop has been ridiculous tonight.
I don't know what's wrong with it.
Half the time.
You need a new laptop.
Yeah, it's the worst. It is the worst.
New laptop, new phone. You need some boots.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think should we carry this on for like another 20 minutes? Do some questions.
Daychris has a ton of questions that I haven't gotten to. They're in the side chat. I'll paste them again since your thing died.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet.
Right. Is ask her why then do Nigerians on average get far more degrees? For instance, Nigerian immigrants on average attain far more degrees per capita and on average have far higher annual incomes.
Got the age.
That's interesting. Single mothers was a problem that white Democrats created. In the 30s to 50s, Black families and incomes were on the rise and crime was lowered. After the war on poverty and the rise of the welfare state and incentivized single-parent households. That's actually an interesting perspective. I'd like to learn more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's kind of sad that it only took me like 2 minutes to grab a beer.
No, sometimes you gotta grab it fast. Give it back. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna ask a couple of questions from
the chat. Will you ask those questions? I'm actually going to make a drink because I'm out of beer.
Oh wait, okay, hang on. Where have they gone?
Oh, though, if I can say something real quick on the point previously.
Okay. Yeah. Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You go, get your thing. You make the point, and when you come back, then you can read the questions out because I don't know where they are.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, go on. So you were saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I could address something previously, what I have noticed from centrists is that there is an awful lot of nihilism. There's an awful lot of like not caring, about what happens in the future and all that stuff. Keep in mind, I'm just noticing trends, so to speak, and since I do want children and all that stuff, that's probably why I am more invested in the future and why, therefore, people like me are more, drawn towards the more extreme groups, or at least the more because it's that worrying about the future, but not exactly in an unrealistic way. Because worry obviously sounds so irrational, but I do think here in the United States, especially now, I don't know anything about Europe. I don't know what the situation is there, but it does seem as though people like me worry, the place that we're living for our kids to grow up in. If anything is to happen, as far as extremist wars and all that stuff, I'd rather deal with it than my kids. I guess is kind of that's the sentiment I get a lot from my interactions with the alt-right, and I do have a lot of friends that are in the alt-right, and I understand that that's a lot of where they're coming from. It's hard not to. It's hard not to worry in the situation that we have right now. Is my point? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I understand that. You want the best for your kids and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with not being like a nihilist. I just wonder, I just think it's been hijacked a little bit, the alt-right movement, probably from what it initially might have been. Because some of the things like black people are less intelligent and they shouldn't be in the country type thing, I think is kind of ridiculous and stupid. Like I say, I think they've jumped to conclusions anyway. And it seems like you had like a racist who then tried to find statistics to back up his sort of, racial biases rather than actually,
I'm sorry.
because then you get things like, Asians who on average, have a higher IQ and make more money than white people, for example.
You know what? I'm sorry. I hate to cut people off, but I will say this. There is a huge difference between white supremacist and white nationalist. Most everyone who agrees hook, line, and sinker with race realism does not deny that Ashkenazi Jew. I'm sorry, I butchered that pronunciation. I'm never going to get it right. So it's the Jew that starts with the A. They have the highest IQ on rival with Asians, and whites are kind of in the middle. No one is denying that, as far as the believers, so to speak, go. I believe that the perception of the alt-right has been hijacked by people who perceive, oh, it's white people who want to be white, therefore they must be supremacists, when from what I've experienced from my friends who are in the movement, from those who I converse with, it's all about nationalism that just so happens to be white, as opposed to whites are just better at everything. Because the truth of the matter, and in fact, actually, I mean, for as much as a who white meme that he is, Jared Taylor does bring up the point that what he actually advocates for is self-segregation. I'm of the opinion, well, we do that already, and that's kind of his research has led him to believe that, and me, LARPing as someone who's just noticing stuff, also has noticed that this is just something that we naturally do. It has nothing to do with anyone being better. It's just what we do.
I think that's okay. If you say like you want an ethno state, and you're like, well, we'll just self-create this kind of division between races, and everyone's free to choose what they want to do. It just so happens that that's what everybody wants to do. I think that's fine.
I still think it's weird, though, to be honest. It's like if
it is weird. It is, but it's
like the town of black people is like, hey, no, we want to be a black neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
All black people move in. Say you're a white person, that area has good housing prices, whatever. You want to move in, be like, no, black area. It's weird.
Well, I guess it would.
And vice versa. Oh,
yeah,
no, it's white.
Let's be honest. But okay, from what I have noticed, there are very few people, though, who do go into a neighborhood being like, oh, wow, no one here looks like me. This is a great area to move into. I'm just, going to pick the best house and just hope that nothing bad happens. I saying...
in the case of black people, a lot more black people come from economically depressed areas. So if they do become more affluent, they're naturally going into, white-dominated neighborhood. So... sometimes, like, your only option, like, there aren't as many black, affluent, completely black neighborhoods, so I don't think it matters. Like, if you're going to be moving on up, you're going to be moving on up into a more, at least mixed, racially background neighborhood instead of an all-black neighborhood.
It seemed to me, though, that's interesting. Why is that? Like, that's kind of what... I'm still like on my journey as far as like why does this happen? Is it purely economical? I don't know. The last statistic I was reading as far as welfare went was that it's kind of evenly mixed, where we do have like a basic population-wise an even amount of Hispanics, blacks, and whites on it. Yeah. Nobody even documents Asians here. I don't know what the hell they're doing besides succeeding at everything. But it appears as though this is the last. In fact, after this is over, I'll post all of the links in which I'm referencing off the top of my head.
Okay.
But the last one that I ran into was that even though there is an equal distribution of blacks, whites, and Hispanics on welfare, whites are more likely to pull themselves out of this. Now, I don't know why this is. So, like, when it does come to, oh, well, what about, the poor black in America versus the poor white in America, assuming based off of welfare statistics, it does seem more likely that the white individual will pull himself out as opposed to the black individual. I frankly do not blame race. I blame single parenthood. Like I said, I'm traditional conservative, so I understand, situations and everything. I have to my mom too for a period of time. So clearly I'm not blaming anyone for this, but I am saying that on a statistical level, we do know that single motherhood is not it's not a good thing. A lot of these kids end up growing up in situations in which, they reach high school in that rebellious area and they want that daddy that they can yell at, but they don't have him around, So clearly they're going to rebel in other ways. It just so happens that affects the Black community more than it does the white community. I think currently, and I could be wrong on this number, but it's like 72% of Blacks born in the United States are born to a single mother. I know that sounds super high, and that's the last one I looked up or saw. While whites are about at 25%, it has greatly risen since the creation of the welfare state, which I'm very much against, or at least very much in reform for. I do believe that. I'm sorry. I'm rambling.
That's okay. Some interesting things is that I grew up to a single mother. In a mostly white community. And I did go through that rebellious stage, and I did drop out of high school, and I did get into drugs and all that stuff. But eventually I pulled myself out of it. But if I grew up, say, not in the suburbs, and I grew up in the ghetto, where this kind of thing was not a deviation of the norm, but kind of the norm, where kind of that's the path that everybody goes down, and it's from a long line of people. Their parents did the same thing, and their parents before them, and it started somewhere, decades before you were ever born. This kind of like pendulum was set in motion. I think I would have a lot harder time pulling myself out of it, no matter what my skin color was. And I think it is like, it does affect Blacks disproportionately. But I think you got to look at the reasons why.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say that there aren't other reasons why. I'm saying that just based on aggregates, there is.
I think you are trying to say that there are more reasons, not that it's just their skin color. I don't think you're trying to say that. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. It's just like one of those things where for the last goddamn time, Chad, that's probably saying this. I don't mean this is the only thing. No,
yeah.
I'm sorry. But no, it's in fact actually my mother. I do have two older half sisters who. Their father was, the stereotypical cokehead of the 80s. So, what could you expect? So for, reasons outside of her,
Don't let it happen. I think you might have muted yourself, Carmen.
Yeah, that's... Get used to that. But no, she did, I'm sorry. My two older sisters, half-sisters, we had the same mother, different dads. I grew up without a father in the home for a significant portion of their childhood. I believe they were 7 and 9 when I was born. So, 5 and 7 then when they got together. So they did spend like a proportionate amount of their childhood, during the early socialization areas, either without a father, period, or without a father who wasn't in the bathroom the entire time doing stuff with his friends he shouldn't be doing. And we're different. We just are. We ended up in situations in which we're different, and it's not their fault. It's not my mom's. If anyone's fault, it's the cocaine doing dad. But we ended up in situations where, like in my rebellious 12-year-old phase that lasted all of 6 days, I had the father to smack it out of me where they didn't. And they're not they're actually no, one of my sisters is a total psycho, but the other one is a lovely person who did get into acetaminophen, who did end up in
acetaminophen.
Oh, I'm so
amphetamines.
No, I'm sorry, opioids. It's acetaminophen, like the main. Well, that's what technically.
That's Tylenol.
No, seriously, that's what it was. Is that she has she's been 11 years gone now. I'm sorry, 11 years with a liver transplant because of an acetaminophen overdose.
Shit.
So that's why I keep thinking, acetaminophen and things like that. Even though I know. Well, and see, that's what I mean, though, and I do wonder if they would have ended up differently had they had that strong father, influence, especially since while. We do have a different dad, so it could be just that. It could just be genetics, or it could have been the fact that our dad was around, as opposed to them being genetically different. If that makes sense. I think a lot of this
stuff boils down to more cultural backgrounds, social status, and less genetics. Genetics are really. Yeah, what is going on with you, Roy?
Hi, I'm back.
Hi.
I've just been listening. I'm just going to do the rest of the stream off my phone with my avatar up. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm fucking done.
All right,
I'm sick of it.
We'll end it pretty soon.
Oh yeah, you know, I hate being this person. Yeah, if you want to wrap it up, that's totally cool because I get it. I actually have a fake copy of Windows 7 on my computer, so it's yelling at me too.
No,
so,
we're not. We've not finished. We're not finished making you look bad yet, you racist.
Okay. Oh, I know. You know, like don't get me started on that JQ. No, please don't.
So, do you reckon it would be a good idea, right, for the extreme sort of alt-right people, so like Richard Spencer and shit, who do want an actual proper ethno-state? Would it not be a good idea for them to go to an island and start a white ethno-state somewhere? Because they have no claim over America, like no more than any sort of, you know, black person that was born in America. They're as American as each other.
No, that's a valid thing. I mean, hey, if more power to them. If that's what they feel like doing, go for it. I mean, that's on them. I feel
it makes them look silly, and I feel it makes the alt-right look silly. To like, you know, sort of be like, we're going to have this.
Doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, because you've been quite reasonable, I think. I mean, I think we've disagreed on you know, certain points, but you've not. You know, you've not come across as some insane sort of moron that wants this impossible thing.
Well, maybe I'm just doing my job correctly. Kind
motivated by maybe you are. Maybe this is what. Maybe we've fallen into the Andy Warski trap.
Yeah.
We're spreading all
one of my questions was one of my questions beforehand, after listening to like a day's worth of Richard Spencer, wanting to hang myself, is that like I had some questions pertaining to, do you think you're being manipulated into fighting for a cause that maybe is a lot more extremist than it appears at the initial glance? And do you think they're doing like dog whistling, doing like almost like politicians do, like throwing out the good things without really delving into the deep dive on what it really entails, and kind of gaslighting and making you feel like, well, why wouldn't you want this?
Oh, no, that's fair. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the people who are doing the real like dog whistling as far as the alt-right goes is not Richard Spencer. It's the media who calls Jordan Peterson alt-right and things like that. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I see in the future a lot of people who just off of being branded alt-right. Like, for example, who knows, you know, like in 2 weeks I might be getting my, you know, Pepe the Frog tattoo and you know, 1488 tattoos, like, you know, to go along with it, just because of what we're just going to ultimately be labeled anyway.
Who's eating chips or doing whatever Whitey does?
I'm stressed out. I'm making a roll up.
Oh my god, you got to do it away from your phone.
Sorry. I thought you were gonna say like I was gonna get you know, who knows, I might get a Pepe tattoo to go along with my swastika tattoo.
we don't talk about that. That was a long time ago, and those videos have been deleted from my knowledge.
Oh my god, I got the most amount of dislikes I've ever gotten before.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not because of you. I got 16 likes to 22 fucking dislikes. I never got
22 dislikes. 22 oh my god. Your channel's ruined. It's ruined, Dave.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry, it's all my fault, and I do
it's not. So apologize. You don't have to apologize for that.
Can everybody type Dave, stupid nigger in the chat, please?
I'm glad I didn't monetize.
No, that's where it's going. Okay.
I'll be right back. I gotta get my vapes. I left them somewhere. Stop making a roll up and talk for a second.
Okay, cool. I can do that. Yeah. So I do think the sort of ethno-state thing makes it look silly. The whole alt-right thing. I think it undermines it a lot. I think it's quite a sort of bombastic out there idea. And it's a headline grabber. You know, it's like, well, these people want a white ethno-state in America. Like, it's, you know, which then you follow that string of logic, and it's like, well, that will lead to violence and, you know, getting rid of people who are born American citizens and things like that. So, I mean, you must think that kind of, that's not helping Richard Spencer running around, like, shouting about ethno-states or millennial woes or whoever it might be, like.
Well, okay, when it comes to millennial woes, he is Scottish, if I can remember right.
Yeah.
I don't really. or like even Tara McCartney, I mean, she's from the UK. It's I don't know what the optics are. I don't know what their situation is as far as, you know, the whole race thing goes. I mean, you know, refugee crisis is. I mean, you know, I do feel I like Millennial Woes. He seems like a nice guy, and he does make some good points when it comes to a lot of things. Keep in mind, as an outsider looking into Scottish politics or the UK, I don't know where he is now, but I mean, this is the guy who was targeted by a news organization who outed him in the most unflattering photo possible on his, you know, like for front page news. So to me, it makes total sense as to why he feels the way that he does. When it comes to Richard Spencer in the United States, I will say he is quite intelligent, and he does make some interesting points. Sorry, not all in which I agree with, but some that I'm kind of like, you know what, he does have a point. Same with Jared Taylor. They've got points.
Yeah.
Does that mean that they're right or wrong? No. Does that mean that it looks really good for us? In all honesty, having listened to Richard Spencer, I do not agree with him a lot of the time. For example, he does, you know, agree with socialist policies, and I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because he is quite a figurehead at this point.
Oh yeah, no, he is definitely being pushed. What I'm saying from like actually listening to the guy though, it's different. It would be, the alt-right would be so different if it wasn't for the media perception we already have, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying before, I think there are probably a fairly significant number of racists within the alt-right movement, and I think the media perception of it attracts them to it also.
No, that's fair. Yeah, well it's...
we will do.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Oh no, because that is fair. I mean, there is quite a lot of the see, that's the other thing too, as far as racism goes. It's we do have a period now where it's like noticing difference between the races makes you racist. And in the alt-right, there's a lot of that. No, but what I'm saying is, as far as like perception goes, it's like, oh, they're just a bunch of racists. And it's like, why? Because I mentioned that the Haitian IQ happens to be, oh God, I want to say 65 on average, whereas the the Ashkenazi Jew IQ was 115 on average. What I'm saying is that it's like, just even bringing those things up makes us racist somehow, and it's like, but we're just asking questions, you know. And when you put people in a position where you're just asking questions and you're labeled a racist, it's really hard to fight against that label.
Well, it's when people within the movement, they're not only asking questions, they're making claims about other races that are fairly unfounded, in my opinion. You know.
Well, if I can ask, is there a specific claim that you feel is unfounded? I'm just...
Well, I mean that black people are genetically sort of less intelligent than white people. Like, I think that's unfounded.
Well, okay, based on the current evidence in which we do have, Africans do have a lower IQ.
Yeah, but the IQ tests
I'm not saying that you can't argue against
but
I'm saying you have data.
We don't have evidence that they have a genetic, like their IQ is lower because of their genetics. They're predisposed to be less intelligent than white people. We have we've tested them IQ wise and averaged it out with white people, and they come from poorer areas. Africa, if you want to test Africa, it's nowhere near the kind of country that the United States is in terms of education. So I think it's a massive sort of leap to say genetically they're less intelligent. I don't know how anyone could claim that. It's not scientific to sort of jump to that conclusion.
If I can be perfectly honest, I believe that genetics have something to do with it. In fact, actually, most people on the right do believe that genetics have a part in doing it. Is that obviously the only thing? Of course not. We have environment, nutrition.
What scientific data do you base that on, the genetics part?
Oh, as far as genetics go, we've got the IQ tests in which we have
IQ tests
right now. Okay, when we push down the fact that when you have like a nutrition here in the United States, in fact, actually, you can infer that the nutrition for African Americans actually has gotten worse based off the fact that African Americans in the United States are actually shorter right now than they were during slavery days. I'm not saying there's anything good or bad about it, but I'm saying on average, your average Black is shorter than they used to be. Now, we can infer in which that had something to do with nutrition. I'm saying this is obviously inference that because we don't have 100% specific data, because this is going to sound so racist if you do want to put that on it.
If they had racist data that backed up a racist talking point, then don't you think that everybody would be on the forefront with that data? It doesn't exist. The thing is that they don't even know what in the genome specifically correlates with the intelligence of a said person, never mind by race.
Oh, because we're never going to have it. I mean, unless
we will one day, but just not right now. So there's no way to correlate it scientifically. I feel that's been tested in a controlled environment with an adequate sample size in, you know, a thorough vetting process and over a long enough period of time. It just hasn't happened yet. So I don't think you can genetically say that they're predisposed. Culturally, yes. Socioeconomically, yes. But genetically, specifically genetically, to make that an actual claim, you need to have, you know, a theory to back it up with evidence.
Well, I'm sorry, my argument is that we're not going to get it. In order to have that kind of, number one, you would have to put human beings in an unethical environment in order to test for that. So we're never going to get it based on.
Why would you claim it is a genetic thing?
Oh, no, I'm saying I believe that there is a part in which is genetic. Obviously not, okay, for example, like height. Height, we all have a maximum amount of height. However, nutrition and environment and honestly, like, looks like money and such, does kind of affect that. I'm sorry, not money, but, you know, socioeconomical status does kind of affect as to how tall you will actually end up. But does that not mean that height is not genetic at all? No, of course not. Height does, I'm saying that the average intelligence of someone, in my opinion, from the evidence in which I've been able to infer, or at least research on my own independently, would lead me to believe that there is a portion in which is genetic. Is that racial? Okay. I don't know, but it does appear that there might be a correlation. Or causation does not equal correlation, I'm sorry.
I think that probably, I mean, you know, genetics affects almost everything. So genetics probably overwhelmingly would affect intelligence, right? But for all we know, Black people are genetically smarter than white people. And to say that you believe it without enough sort of data, that's at the point where somebody could say, well, you just, you know, you're assuming this about Black people at this point, so, you know, why would they not say that you might be a racist when they look at that?
So in the chat, I just want to bring up real quick. There's a there's a diversion of opinions in the chat. Christopher Tavares says IQ is low due to paint chips. That was from the Kumite the other day. Where who was it who came on? Oh, Spinosaurus came on and said that the IQ is lower because they ate less paint chips as kids.
Which is insulting
itself. But yeah, lead in paint is a problem. And it's not so much eating the paint chips, it's breathing it in and the drinking water.
Really, really interesting Forensic Files episode about that, but I can't remember the exact episode, so I'll shut up.
I love Forensic Files. Anyway, also there are people saying Daychris really wants me to ask about the Nigerian immigrants. That's one of the questions he said. Ask her, why then do Nigerians on average get far more degrees? Like, for instance, Nigerian immigrants on average attain far more degrees per capita and on average have far higher annual incomes. He said single mothers was a problem that white Democrats created in the 1930s to the 50s. Black families and incomes were on the rise when crime was lowered. After the war on poverty and the rise of the welfare state and incentivized single-parent households, but in Poland and all these nations you mentioned aren't forcing out the immigrants or citizens because their skin tone. Oh, I think that's a different part of it. But yeah.
If I could, I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt or anything. If I can interject, though, no, he's right. As far as Nigeria goes, in my opinion, from what I've been able to notice, it's they've kind of dealt with the single mother issue in Nigeria. That it does tend to be that they are much more about the family unit for whatever reason. Now, keep in mind that's a country that just so happens to be black. I'm very much into isolationism and nationalism as far as that goes. So, with them getting more advanced degrees, I do believe that has a lot to do with them being much more into the family unit than a lot of other African countries just so happen to be, which also might have to do with IQ. I'm sorry, it's one of those things where, you know, I believe everything has something to do with it. I just don't know what percentage yet, if that makes any sense. Because in my opinion, single motherhood is the huge problem that we have right now. It's not even necessarily single motherhood, but single parenting in general. I'm sorry. Obviously, not to do with. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I'm getting all passionate and shit. No, obviously not to do with necessarily like trying to make it sexist or anything like that. It's just. And there's obviously, you know, people like my mom where you're in a situation where, well, you got to pick one or the other. Either you're a single mom or, you know, you've got the crackhead dad. So it's no one's fault if they end up in that situation, or at least, you know, for the most part, because there is that argument to a certain extent on that side. But I do believe that we have a society right now that is encouraging single motherhood. To the extent that welfare benefits, in all honesty, like if I was smart, I would, you know, what's
not make a restaurant.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not gonna. Obviously, did I ever say I was smart? Yeah, no, but no, it would be more economically feasible for me though to live off the state, quit my job, and get knocked up as soon as humanly possible without the dad around. I could live.
Is that really? That's like bare bottom minimum of the ladder, though. Like,
you'd be surprised. It depends on how much I'm
disabled and on welfare, and I made way more money when I was working, and I miss it.
Oh well, okay. I'm sorry, but you're also not pregnant with a dad that you can also leech off of as far as the child goes.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is like semantics. I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt anyone. This is like semantics, at least, or not. I'm sorry. What's the
White
word?
people are definitely more polite.
Well, it's a compulsion. It's, for example, I have an uncle who's you know, will not be named because he's kind of a jerk, but that's beside the point. Once upon a time ago, he knocked up a chick in a gym parking lot because that's, you know, where you do it, and that's how she made her money. To be honest, she did kind of lie to 3 other guys, saying that she was totally on the pill when she wasn't, and my uncle, being stupid, totally believed that in a gym parking lot. I cannot stress that enough because that's just stupid. But anyway, what she was doing was purposely seeking out men who made more money, because when it comes to or more money than baby daddy before, so that she could get a higher child support allowance, and from there. What's the word I'm looking for? Because you can ask for allowances or increases on child support based on. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, come on, guys. I'm sorry. But because you can ask for increases on allowances for children based off not how much the kid needs, but based off how much the dad makes.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I believe is an issue. That's what we need to deal with. Those are the we should fuck talking about race. Fuck even like, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll mute myself. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So Alex just had a total shit fit. So Whitey's asking for a link, Day.
You can send it to him if you want. Okay. Or do you want me to send it?
I'll do it now. So in relation to Day Christ with the Nigerian thing, saying how they are better.
Yeah, I feel bad with all the questions. I have questions in my DMs as well. I can't get to them all right now, but I'm going to try.
I think I speak for everybody in this stream when I say, get out the niggers, but keep the nigers.
Oh my God.
Am I right? Am I right, guys? Am I right? Don't record that clip and post it anywhere. I regret it instantly. I think, I think maybe it might be worth doing another alt-right stream at some point so we can get through more questions.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll come back because we've been cordial.
Yeah, we can gather all the questions. If anybody has questions, I think we're going to do another one of these streams because it's really interesting. And maybe if you have anybody else who kind of has your line of thinking, Carpe, you can bring them on. And,
actually, no, I was going to ask because I do have, like a much more extremist alt-right friend who is, keep in mind, he's also from Greece, so it's a different perspective entirely as far as like, in my opinion, there's just a huge difference between the US alt-right and the EU alt-right, and because that's what I've noticed. I mean, there's arguments between, if the alt-right in the United States should even be trying to help the EU alt-right, for Christ's sake. That's kind of like on the level we're at.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like if that's what you guys want, because I understand I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm fence sitting because I hate fence sitters, but no, like it's just.
No, I think you've been really informative and just kind of giving your take on things, because I don't think you're ready to like say like I'm fully alt-right yet, but you and I wondered what an alt-right sympathizer was, and it's someone who's like dabbling in it, like finding more information out. These have good talking points, but I think also it's personally not the answer. I think they're very good criticisms and questions to ask, but I don't think being alt-right or ethno-nationalist is the answer at all. I don't think it's actually an actionable thing that can happen in today's society, at least not in the United States. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I think this has been good. I think it's despite the amount of dislikes you've gotten.
I'm so sorry about that. Like, I know, like, the moment you mention alt-right, it's like, all the dislike, and Sargon told me to, or whatever the heck it is these days.
I don't know. It could have been people who are alt-right disliking it because we're kind of disagreeing with it. I don't know which way that goes. I think the skeptics have a lot of alt-right people in the fan bases generally, much more than they're all splintered. So, but I think just to sum it up a little bit for me, is like I think there's a lot of presumptions that come from the alt-right, which does really tread racism. It's quite a fine line. I think the ethno state is silly, beyond belief. I don't think it's achievable. I don't think it's ethically correct. However, I think you've been pretty reasonable. I mean, not that I expected you to be a sort of lunatic Nazi anyway. Yeah. So I don't know. I think. So would you be willing to come on a stream again in the future?
Oh, of course. As long as the dislikes are okay, because that's
no.
It's traffic. I'm not there.
Okay,
dislikes are great. So I think it'd be worth everybody. DM. Me and Dave both have open DM, so if you want us to relay questions that you have on anything, get them to us in the DMs. I'll make sure and we'll get through as many of them as we can on the next stream that we do. Not too sure when that will be.
Yeah, I didn't expect so many questions, so definitely just send them to me. I know, Daychrist, you had a lot of questions. Maybe we'll get Daychrist on the next stream so you can ask them all face to face.
Well, maybe if you could get your sort of more extreme alt-right friend on, maybe we get Daychrist on, so it's
equal.
We could have a bit of a debate, bit of a chat. It'd be friendly because I don't know. I just feel we sold our soul. We're as bad as Andy Borsky now.
Yeah.
Well, if I can say something though, I do think that this to me is what is important though. Like just discussing these ideas, not necessarily arguing for or against them, but at least discussing them. I think that's what we're really missing these days. Because for someone like me, it is jumping into the alt-right and being very curious about, like, why do you guys feel this way, and kind of having like weed myself through the LARPers and through the extremists and into what they actually believe and things like that. Because I do feel like a lot of this. Just discussing these ideas is so attracts dislikes like the dozens. So
Yeah.
sorry, by the dozens. But but you know what I mean. Like when it comes to just even discussing these ideas, because I don't want to verbally rip anyone's head off, because that's kind of not my style. But that's a lot of times that is what it devolves into. It's, oh, you're alt-right, so therefore I have to disagree with everything you say. I can't concede any points, and I feel like discussing these ideas was just so much. It's healthier for everyone to, kind of, you know where I was going with that sentence, because I just did it. No.
Yeah, Roy, what were you saying?
Two things. I was going to say, I wouldn't worry about the dislikes. I mean, streams about the alt-right attract dislikes, like America attracts immigrants, to be frank. Also, I was going to say, like, so, I mean, I know this isn't really your bag. I know you're not fully sort of down with the complete sort of ethno-state, get all sort of other people of color out of America. But this is something that I'm not too sure about. I mean, they're like, let's have a white ethno-state. Why would they sort of not want Asians in that ethno-state then, or people from Nigeria, for example? Because they generally do better than white people.
It's interesting for me as someone just kind of even exploring these ideas. Very few, when I say ethno-state, actually mean 100% white. It does tend to, because there is, and I will say that to me is interesting, and I'm very curious as to why, and this is what I'll do more research on. Why is it that Asians kind of, I don't want to say have a more compatible culture with whites, but they're kind of also not bitching about not having privilege where other groups are. I'm curious about that. That's something I would like to research more. That's something I am very interested in. But what I'm sorry, damn, I rambled too much. I will eventually fix that problem. But no, it's interesting though that most, if not all, alt-righters I've ever talked to are not 100%. No, this must be 100% white. And they do tend to be open to Asians as opposed to any other ethnic group.
People are saying in the chat that Asians integrate. That's why nobody cares. I think
that could be. Yeah.
I think if I'm going to be totally not PC, people think that the ethno-state might be a good thing and might allow Asians into it because they view them as maybe more upper level, superior. Like they don't want to be dragged down. If I'm not going to be PC, I think that white people are like, okay, we're cool with the Asians because technically Asians and Ashkenazi Jews score higher.
I'm not the only person who can't pronounce it. Thank you.
No, because it's like Ashkenazi Jews. It just seems wrong to say. Like,
I like it though.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like that they don't want to be dragged down. And I also hear like we come from Vikings and we come from the Romans and stuff. But like I feel like the people who want to protect the white race, like the white race is pretty mixed as it is. Like I'm white as fuck. I'm also more than half Italian, which wasn't even considered white however long ago. So like all my cultural identities are mixed. I'm not just Italian. I'm also Irish and Scottish and shit. And but it's all mixed together. I'm still a white person. But like I don't think people who are slightly tanned and from like Jamaica or Egypt and white, I don't know. It just doesn't become a big deal. People care now because they don't want their culture erased. But
I honestly, I would say
when I became half Italian and half Irish, it's just mixed.
Yeah. I honestly would say, like, I know some people, they're like, well, I'm not like a racist. I like, I want to preserve sort of white culture and things like that. And the white race, they don't like the white genocide, which is a crazy name for it, white genocide, but whatever. Like, I really don't care. Like, I don't care if in 200 years there's no white people left in England. Like, I wouldn't care. Like, if they're naturally going to sort of have sex with black people and Chinese people, and everyone's this sort of weird tone in the future, we're all kind of yellowy, whitey black. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't give a shit. They'd still all be British people. It'd still be a British culture for the most part. I mean, things evolve. I think that's just kind of evolution, really.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
and
That's just a little.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people who are getting swayed to the alt-right are confusing like ethno-nationalism, like white nationalism, with like a lot of the chat saying like secular Western values, which I believe should be protected. Like I don't think it's cool in like the countries who are having the European countries who are having mass integration and having or immigration, definitely not integration, but immigration. They're seeing like a clash of cultures because it's mass immigration. It's all at once. There's no assimilation. There's no real like things put in place, and they're not expected to assimilate. I think that is a big problem. I think there is a clash of cultures. It can't just be like that. This is why wars were fought in the past over territory and culture and values. So it's really hard to say like, yeah, we should just let everybody in. It should be controlled. I feel like it should be controlled. I feel like it should be, in a way where people, if they're going to come into whatever country, the U.S., European countries, even like if, I went to Japan, I would assimilate into their culture because I'm not a dick. And I feel like...
Really?
Yeah. And so I feel like if everybody just like assimilated into wherever they moved, which is really what it comes down to, like territorial and cultural and all these social norms that happen, if people just took the time to assimilate, I don't think there would even be the idea of an ethno state, because everybody would just be adapting to the same culture, which is really what's more, important for a lot of people, I feel, rather than their skin color.
I agree. That's 100% right. I mean, there's like, in large Muslim sort of communities in Britain, at times they call for shit like Sharia law to be implemented, which is just bizarre. It's like, why would you even come here? Go to a country that has Sharia law. You can't have all the benefits of this country, introduce Sharia law, watch it fall to pieces, watch them benefits that you came here for in the first place just evaporate, because that's what will happen. So it makes no sense. I'm like, you have to sort of...
It's like, why did you leave that place if you want to keep the same shit around?
Yeah, it's bizarre. But okay, like I feel we could probably end the stream now, but can I do like a sort of a Jerry's final thought type thing?
That'd be great.
Just get out how I feel.
If I could just, does anyone have any questions or anything before this, or do you want to wait for next time? Like,
we have so many questions. I can't even get through them all. But we're going to make a second stream, everybody, where I will get to all your questions. The ones I got tonight, I'll keep them on file, and also DM me on Twitter. Day is Dead on Twitter. Any questions you have for the next alt-right sympathizer stream?
So I guess I'll do the outro, the final thought. Talk about my feelings and how I feel. I feel like this has been amicable. It's been quite nice. I think, unlike Andy Warski, we challenged her views and got our points across in a nice manner. But more importantly, I feel like a black person must have designed this laptop.
Yeah.
Okay, your words, not mine.
She DM'd me. She told me to say that. She was like, "That'll go down a treat. That'll be a cracking joke." I was like, "Oh, what?"
They'll never know.
Mush said you're lucky we canceled Kun stream for tonight. Otherwise, we might have a problem. Well, because we're going up in time periods. Actually, we're about to end, so it would have been perfect time. I would have sent people over to the Kun stream.
Yeah, well, everyone go and subscribe to Rainly Viral instead. Then it's not watch our videos.
Yeah. Oh, and put my live stream playlist on mute and watch it overnight so I can get 4,000 hours watch time. I'm almost there. I'm like 1,000 hours away, and I think I might make it because I think after the thing resets, it will tell me I have over 3,000 and something. So I think I can make it. So just keep on doing it, you guys.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty funny that we have someone that kind of, you know, is on board with certain alt-right sort of ideals, and alt-right people are considered to be quite racist by a lot of media outlets and things. Yeah, I've dropped by far the most racist jokes.
Yeah, you did.
Well, you know, I'm not stupid, I swear. I just never said I was smart.
Keeping it classy. Roy keeps it classy on stream.
Someone has to. No.
Always.
Awful.
I'll try and have less technical problems from the next one. I don't know what's going on with my laptop. It's never this bad. It's never been this bad before. This is an anomaly. I don't know what's going on.
You know how they are about putting things down, but no.
Yeah. Right, end it, Day. Girls out of here.
All right. Bye, everybody. I'll see you. Are we doing a stream tomorrow?
Maybe.
We might be doing a stream tomorrow. If not, just keep my playlist playing on mute. I really appreciate it. Super touched by everybody who's doing that. I actually might make it. I didn't think it was going to be possible, but I might. So keep it going. I have like 3 more days, so I think we can do it. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time. Bye.